close your mind. Forgotten where I cover. Can't remember and go away. Oops. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Give me a second. Is that what y'all seeing? Y'all should be seeing that. Okay. That's my version. Oh, this is why I use my old phone. Joe Live. Joe Live, Joe Live, Joe Live, Joe Live. Something, something, something me. I'm down here. No, here. There we go. And now my YouTube chats are working again. Is there a reason why? I don't know what it is. If it does exist, there we go. I was trying to get both my hands in. I don't know what it is. It didn't work the last 2 times that I've streamed, and I was getting messages on there too that I had to like have my YouTube also open so I could read those too. Lord have mercy. I streamed. Yeah, yeah. Can y'all hear me? If anybody's on Instagram, let me know if it looks good, if it looks okay. I'm not sure where I put my old phone, which is normally how I watch my own streams. I just had it too. It's somewhere. It's somewhere in here. Dark Nabbit! No! I bet you I don't know where that's from. It's not my best performance, but I bet you don't know where that's from. If you say you know where that's from, you were fed. Hands down, you were fed. Ha! Unrelated. Y'all gonna think I'm nuts. Y'all gonna think I'm on something. I got this telescope. I got this telescope from Goodwill. I actually bought this Let me actually, hold on. Okay, let's see. We're going to talk just a little bit. Try to get some good old-fashioned yaps. Try to get some good old-fashioned yapparoony papoony. Start recording. And start recording. Perfect. I'm sure there's like a much prettier way for me to do what I'm doing. But I'm doing what's going to work for me. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Hannibal Callens. We are back in the Laforatory. Oh my goodness. He's nuts! Ah, he's nuts! I don't know. I just get my yap on. I'm a little bit bored, unproductive. I got this telescope from Goodwill months ago, and it's so funny. I'm so goofy. I bought this telescope from Goodwill because I wanted the tripod legs that it was sitting on. and those tripod legs are the one my phone. No, not my phone. Is it the one my phone's connected to? I think it is. I think it's the tripod that my phone is sitting on right now. Or, I'm pretty sure it's this one. It doesn't matter, but I got so many tripods laying around, big dog. And the only reason I'm grabbing it now is because I woke up super early yesterday and today for some reason, I don't know. And this morning I was just outside getting my meditate on, and I was seeing stars, and I was like, man, if I go up, I could probably grab this John and see him way nicer, but didn't do that night. It's just in the garage. I'm actually gonna put, I'm in that garage, the in my closet, baddie. Oh, hold on. Carry blood all over my body. Carry blood all over my body. Oh well. I had to adjust my camera so much because I didn't want to be trying to figure out how I can get my angle perfect and perfection. Here we go. I know me, I like to move when I yap. So I'm trying to find that great angle. Probably increase my gain. Yeah. I think I want to kind of land in the yeah. Is that? Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Okay, it looks like the gain on my thing, the indicator seems to be backward. I'll move it towards the, whatever. It don't matter. If you guys are in here, let me know how it sounds. Does this sound good? Because right now it says I'm bouncing around in the yellow, topping off in the red. And I think that's what I should be doing. Right? I don't know. I feel like I want most of the sound to be bouncing in the yellow. But because, and you know what it really is, because I'm not like recording, like I'm not like recording my streams and then watching them right after, I can never make the direct connections of when was I in the yellow, when was I in the red, and what actually sounds good in post. But I've looked at previous streams and I actually sound pretty good. So, dang it. There we go. Had to turn my fan on. Guys, I don't know. Plus, I can't tell if anyone's in here. You know what it is? My brain is distracted. I'm distracted because I'm distracted because I don't know where that old phone is, and I have a hard time getting my brain off of it when I'm thinking about that. I took the glasses off because I think the glare wasn't working for your boy. Was cutting in how handsome I'm able to look. Oh yeah. Anyway. Now, what are we thinking? Huh? We got some stuff we're going to yap about. I do want to go out and do some comedy tonight. Last I checked, there's a couple of open mics. I think we'll start at 7:30, or the sign up is at 7:30. So I'm just kind of thinking in my head, which I'm just yapping. I'm using my phone this time, but this reminds me why I got the camcorder, because this is the first time in a while I've used my phone for my camera, and now I can't use my phone. I want to check text and stuff. I should have called my lady before I streamed. I meant to do that. Anyway, I appreciate you guys letting me practice these, because they help. Like, the more I do them, the less awkward they feel, and then the quicker they move. This time I actually had a bunch of written down subjects, actual little like topics that I want to yap about. It's just sometimes hard to get in them, especially when I don't think there's like an audience in here, and I know I'm talking to myself. It makes it a little bit more difficult to kind of get into them. But once I get yapping, it ain't that bad. Okay. All right, here we go. It's funny. I'm about to do these in like backwards order, I think. But we're gonna go for okay. My first thing we're gonna talk about is pretty relevant. Yeah, whatever, Hannibal. there's no point in even acting awkward. You know what I mean? I should just do. You know. Oh, I can actually move this like this, like this. So, I don't know if you've heard, but YouTube has just raised the requirements in order for you to get into the partner program. They've made it to where you have to have, rather than having, what is it, I think 7,000 watch hours before you can actually start to get paid off of being on YouTube, you're going to have to get, I think it's 8,000 hours of like watch time, or I think it's like or I think it's like 20 million views on shorts. And dude, I'm honestly, man, there's a lot of people that are talking about it. There's a lot of people that are talking about how bad YouTube is making the game for new creators because they increased that stuff. And I've watched a bunch of videos, people critiquing it and talking about it, because it's like, apparently the point is to try to stop the AI channels. But here's the problem with that. The AI channels don't care. They don't do the necessary work that it takes to like achieve a channel that gets 7,000 watch hours in a month so you can get paid. They literally just go in the computer and plug and bink, 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 have the computers rip other people's content off in order to achieve that goal. And it kind of sucks, because what this is also going to do is it's going to make it like harder for people that are trying to get into YouTube to actually be able to do it. Moist Critical was talking about how that's going to push like newer creators to like use AI, because you won't be able to keep up otherwise. But here's the thing that I thought about that I haven't seen anyone say about YouTube increasing the restrictions to get into the YouTube partner program. What I think is there's an extra dirty layer to it, because YouTube says you have to get 8,000 watch hours in order for you to start getting paid. But YouTube is putting ads on your videos regardless of where you fall into that range, which means you don't get paid unless you can pump out 8,000 hours worth of YouTube views, 8,000 hours worth of watch time on your YouTube videos. But YouTube does. Like, one angle I haven't seen anybody mention, and maybe, and unless I'm completely mistaken, one of the reasons why raising that barrier is so nasty is because YouTube is going to actually benefit more from doing that, because they're going to get more YouTube ads and YouTube and revenue, right, from people not only having to not only people watching all of the content that gets made, but from all of the people who now have to work double. They have to work twice as hard to create enough content to hit that benchmark so they can actually start to get paid. So YouTube actually gets to push you further along before they have to start paying you. And that to me is dirty. Like, if you're going to change these standards and you say it's because you want to target AI channels, we got to find a way to do this that isn't, number one, going to punish legitimate creators who are trying to get into the content creation world through passion and dedication. And also, it's just also nasty to me that doing it this way is going to benefit YouTube. They're actually going to benefit, and they're going to benefit from hurting not the AI channels, because for the AI channels, if they need to go from 8,000 watch hours to 10,000 watch hours, it's just a matter of crunching more numbers. And the other thing I get scared of about like AI is, and I thought this years ago and didn't say nothing, solely because I didn't want my phone to hear me and then give this idea to like Jeff Bezos. But I've always kind of been worried about if a company needs sales to look good enough that they can get investors and more sales, wouldn't somebody be able to like use internet, like wouldn't a company be able to use bots to purchase massive amounts of their product, which would then make their sales look really big and would then get people in the door that would then buy the product? Now again, and then in theory, if doing that gave a company a big enough push to kind of get some escape velocity and now people are actually buying the product, they in theory could probably get away with it, because by the time anyone's investigating, the company's actually shown off, hey, look how good we are, look at our product. You know what I mean? And so you wouldn't care. It just is scary to me, because that takes us down an angle where companies won't even need you to purchase their products anymore. Like, you will become so replaceable that you stop being the customer. You literally start, just being a in the way. If they start having one company's AI machines purchase the products of another company so that the company looks good, and then they can get investors, but they never have to actually provide the product because they're only playing toward the investors, they'll stop caring about the customers. I think that's happening right now with PlayStation. They are dropping the ball, and I think PlayStation has lost the plot. They've become so hungry for money. Like, they said they're no longer doing digital. They're no longer doing physical media, and coming up with a bunch of BS reasons as to why it's like, well, this is actually the future, and blah blah blah. But long story short, they're lying about it. And the crazy thing about it is, I think Sony and PlayStation, I think they've lost the plot. They're so obsessed with money that they forgot how they got their money in the first place. And I think that's what's happening. They are so focused on making money and like saving money, and a big part of that is to appeal to their shareholders, that they are disrespecting the customers who actually buy their products. And then the issue becomes, like, Sony is forgetting, like, imagine this, right? Sony is working so hard to appeal to their shareholders that they're doing things that are pissing off the customers. And thus, they forgot the only reason that Sony has shareholders is because Sony's a successful company. The only reason Sony is a successful company is because it has a legacy of providing quality products to consumers and to their customers. Customers who have enjoyed their products so much that they've bought their products so much that Sony's gotten so big that then shareholders and investors wanted to get in on that company. But by focusing all of your attention on making number go up and appealing to the shareholders, they're gonna damage the legacy that they had of making quality products with their customers, which will then, in theory, stop the train. It's gonna stop the train. I think that's one of the problems with capitalistic thinking, especially when capitalism becomes more than an economic system. I think that's one of the problems with the way that people talk about capitalism and the way that people talk about communism, the way people talk about a lot of these things. There's a difference between capitalism being an economic system and capitalism being treated like a religion. A lot of people that are capitalists act like you can't disagree with capitalism at all. A lot of people who talk about communism act like communism would be the absolute perfect solution to all of our problems. Honestly, if you ask me, I feel like whether we're using capitalism or communism, the ultimate problem is corruption. Like, people are like, oh, well, every communist country has fallen apart. Yeah, I'm no expert, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen, those countries fall apart because of the corruption of that system. And when people talk about capitalism, like capitalism is all this and that, my brother in Christ, we are all one. like bad diagnosis away from financial instability as we constantly every day invest in this country. That pisses me off. Like that makes me so disappointed, because our commitment to the country is consistent, but our country's commitment to us is not. Without going all the way down that rabbit hole, I realize I'm kind of just going on trains of thought. And I'm a Donkey Kong Country too. Gang switching rails. But the big thing to me is that, like, one of the issues with that stuff, one of the biggest issues with capitalism is people, like, with capitalistic thinking, is that it is greed focused, and so it falls apart, and it almost always loses the plot. When you chase greed, I thought about it this way. I was talking to someone about it, and I don't remember who it was or why I said it this way. And I might have just been talking to myself in the backyard. But, like, I've been gardening, and that's been like exposing me to a lot of really interesting perspectives on, like, the world and stuff. And it made me realize something. A simple analogy for greed. Greed is somebody who's so foolish that they're so desperate to make money off of a farm that they will... Damn, I had a better way to say this. Hold on. We'll cut that in post. Okay. Greed is like a farmer who's so hungry that he will eat the dirt that his crops grow from. Like, you see what I mean? It's like people that are greedy and systems that are greedy and cultures that are greedy literally want wealth so bad that they will destroy what generates that wealth, or that wealth actually comes from. That's what I think's happening with PlayStation. PlayStation and Sony are so hungry for wealth and for money that they're literally destroying the actual source of that money. With the crops example, if you're growing corn, right? If you're growing corn and you're harvesting corn and you're selling the corn, only an idiot would start to think, hey, if we want to make even more money, we should dig up all the dirt and sell the dirt. My brother in Christ, the dirt is where the corn was coming from. But if you get so focused on greed that you forget how the thing that your money comes from, if you get so focused on greed that you forget how the product is made, you'll sell the tools that it takes to make the product in order to make money, and now you can't make no money. I'm getting weird right now because now that I think about it, that's probably what in theory has to happen to, like, the vast development of unbridled capitalistic chasing of wealth, because it's really the only thing that in theory stops the train. Otherwise, you're just going to keep generating, keep making. Well, no, actually, and that's the problem. There's not an issue with making, because you're making more. The problem is you get so greedy that you want to sell, like, you want to make so much money and you're moving faster than you can even provide, so you start to sell the things you need to actually make what wasn't getting you money in the first place. I rambled about that, and I really hope I can cut that up in post, because I hit a vibe there, which was good. But yeah, that's the thing. I think greed is dangerous. I actually think greed's a mental illness. I think that evil might be a mental illness, and I think that's why we can't get rid of it. I'm not sure if I've said that in a previous stream or not. But honestly, between me and y'all, I think greed is part of evil, and I think a lot of the things that we consider evil are mental illnesses. And just like other mental illnesses, you can't, like, pray them away. They go away through study and treatment, and they don't go away. For a lot of serious mental illnesses, the person who suffers from them, you learn how to live with it. You take medications for it, you know. And then for the people who live with those people that suffer from mental illnesses, you learn how to live with that person, you learn how to live with those things, and you learn like how to navigate with them so that you're able to live a full life. I think that's why evil is so rampant. It's because evil is not something that can be fought in the moral realm. You know what I mean? Like it can't be fought on the battlefield of morality, because I think evil people, again, if evil, and for the record, I'm not saying that mental illness is evil, right? I'm saying that I think that evil might be one of the mental illnesses we're familiar with. I have ADHD, right? And so as a person with ADHD, the more I try to deny its existence, I never get anywhere. And I was really struggling with it too. I ain't gonna get all into it, but well, I'll put it like this. Life got a lot better once I started using the tools. Once I started using the tools that help my brain work effectively, I'm like, oh, what? Like, I'll say this real quick. I thought it was kind of funny. I never really used calendars for a super long time because I had a lot of shame about it, and I kind of felt like I'm a grown-up. I shouldn't have to use calendars. And then I went to a good buddy of mine that owns a company booking comedy shows at bars all around the country, and I was hanging out with him. I was at his office. Dude got 4 calendars on the wall. And so I was like, wait a minute, what? Grown folks are using calendars? I didn't realize that. Once I started using the calendar, I've been getting to work on time. I haven't been missing any appointments. Like, in fact, there was one thing that I kept missing. I had like this like bi-weekly meeting that I was doing, and I kept missing it. And then after a couple of times, I realized, oh, you know why I was missing it? Because it was the one thing that wasn't on my calendar, which in itself kind of showed, oh, well, that means the calendar's working. If the only thing I'm constantly missing is the one thing that wasn't on the calendar, it means the calendar works. And as long as I stick to it, it really helps my brain work effectively. Said that to say, I am in no way saying that mental illness is evil. I'm not saying that mental illness is in itself evil, but I'm saying that maybe we need to change the way that we think about things like greed and like people's misuse of power and stuff like that. Maybe to a degree, these are things that are mental illnesses. And why is that also important? Because if you have a family member that suffers from a mental illness, you don't go, oh, well, you know, that's just how life has to be. No. What do? You go get them treatment. You go get treatment. You learn how to live with it, and you hold people, and you do the things that help people live a full life. But that also does not mean killing yourself in that process. That's where I think the world is kind of messing up in this theory that mental illness can teach us a lot about how to handle evil, which is that we have to do the things we need to do to accommodate life with it, and also how to treat it. Because evil people are not living a full life. It seems like it because a lot of evil people are powerful and wealthy, but that's not actually a full life. It's funny, I got so many things. This was not on my list of things to yap about. I will say this, though, and take this as like a prelude to a future yap, but I talked to some dudes. I talked to a lot of my coworkers and stuff, and I love to yap. And I was yapping with a couple of brothers at one point because I was saying this. I feel like the issue. I kind of think if we think about evil as like a mental illness, an example I think of is the period. I got to make this thought in this direction. I think that evil might be a mental illness, and the reason why it's so hard for us to see it that way and is because we're living in a period of life in a society that sees that evil as an ideal, not because we're intelligent about it. It's because we misunderstand it. The example I think of is like the period of time when where beauty standards were so bad that anorexia was rampant, and eating disorders were rampant because people were like, "Ooh, look at these beauty standards. Yeah, look at this body." And only later did we really figure out this wasn't healthy. This is not okay. And once people started to figure out it was okay, things shifted more in a direction of being healthy. We still have bad beauty standards to this day, and I think that that's probably related to that period. You know what I mean? A period where beauty standards were so rigid and so unhealthy, but they were so prolific that you looked at somebody with an eating disorder and thought, wow, I want to be like you. I think that's what's happening with people that are like incredibly wealthy, but mentally ill, mentally sick. It's hard to look at somebody like Elon Musk and go, you're sick and need help because you can't pay your rent, and he's building rocket ships and going to space. But I think if we get deeper, and if we allow ourselves, similar with that, with the beauty standards example, if we're able to kind of get ourselves to think outside of the cultural reference we're in, it's like, no, this person isn't better than you because their life is this way. They're actually worse off than you. This person is sick. And just because they've got a fancy car doesn't mean they're not sick. You know? But again, it's hard to see it that way when other people can't even afford their basics, and then you look at somebody that has everything. I think I can go on a deeper yap with that at a different time and go into more detail. But, yeah, I don't know. Let me check. It looks like somebody came up in here. Okay. Oh, Suge Nice. Suge Nice hopped in here, and Chris Mosley. Oh! Chris Mosley? Dang it. I wish I had my old phone because I can't tell who's actually in here or if anyone's in here when I'm on. Yay! What we got there? What is that? Brianna's World, what's happening? I hope you're still here. I was trying to look pretty, and so I took my glasses off, so I didn't see the chats hop in. Says I got one person watching on Kick, one person watching on YouTube, nobody on Twitch, and I can see on Instagram. I can't because of where I have my second monitor, so it's actually blocked by my TV, but now I can stand in here, I can creep around. And I got to creep, yeah, I'm creeping on the down low. I got nobody on Instagram watching. Okay. Then I'll leave it alone for now. I got to go through that. A couple of good yaps for now, I think. I have to go there and cut because I'm just going stream of consciousness. But what I did, Trap Bees, now we're talking. What's happening? Oh man, good to see you. You got it at the perfect time too. I had my glasses off, so I couldn't see when people were hopping in my chats. I just came up here to check, and I got my spectacles on. Sweet. Good to see you, brother. Hey, if you got any music, please send it to me because I got some. I'd love to put it on videos I do. I'm gonna try to. I got a couple of yaps in the pipeline. What's up? Not much, dude. Not much. I'm doing good. I just went out to a comedy festival. Yeah, I just went out to a comedy festival that was and then I just did the Funniest Comedian in the Valley semifinal competition. That competition I didn't do that well. Send me your number or email in a DM. Yes, chef. You got it. I'll do that. Let's see. This time I was smart. This time I actually got topics written down to try and stay on top of my okay, you know what? I do got a joke. I do got a concept. I got a talking point on here that does lend into a joke. So that I definitely got to hit. That I got to hit. Because this is a deep discussion point, but I go to a funny place with it, and I think it's funny enough that I could do it on stage. Well, we can work on that. I yapped on Wednesday of this dude doing SpongeBob songs that I found out was really cool because it was like really soul-y and jazzy, but of course they were AI, and that was like really disappointing. And plus, I don't know. I'm gonna cut that up. I'm gonna go check the video I said about it, where I talked about it, and see if it's good enough. I can just cut it and post it, which I probably will do. Because I need to get out of my head. I need to start posting stuff. For me, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, the goal needs to be quantity over quality right now. And I also realize, too, because I do stand-up comedy, I have a product, and my product is good, which means I think I have more freedom with my social media to let it be more of an introduction to, like, and a window into me as a person, because my social media isn't my product, my comedy is. So that means I don't have to, my social media doesn't have to be perfect and refined because it's not my product. I don't know if this is how he thinks about it, but if y'all have heard of Kev on Stage, he's an incredible comedian he's an awesome dude and an incredible comic. Plus, I like a lot of the stuff he says. He does churches. I went to go see him at a church out here when my lady was in town. It was awesome, super super funny, and it felt like being back. It felt like being back in the South, being back in Southern churches and stuff. But sometimes he says stuff, and it's like church people get mad at him because he'll say stuff like, "Hey, I'm not," like he was talking about. He doesn't want to lead with hate when it comes to like the LGBT anymore. And he's done interviews about it, and he's like, dude, hey, I did that. I did the whole leaving with hate thing, and it didn't, and it's like that's not good. So and then, which is so funny to me, but I think there's like a lesson in there people don't see. Kev on Stage be saying that, hey, we should love people, and then people in the church get mad at him. And to me, it's almost like y'all not looking in the mirror. Really? Think about what he's saying. We should love these people, and then you get pissed? Somebody's not the good guy here. We got somebody who came in the chat. Here we go. It'll be on mic stand. We're sending out a survey about the festival. We love your feedback. Oh, you. Hey, I didn't see you there. Oh boy, look at the. No, of course, definitely. Please, yes, send me the survey. I would love to forget to do it. Oh man. I'm sorry. That I'd love to forget to do it. That's dirt. That's silly. But yeah, of course. Now, also, I will tell you this. Take what I say with a grain of salt, because I go to the World Series of Comedy every year, and that's a festival that they've been doing for 15 years. So I realize that I'm spoiled. So I be going places and going, well, that's not how the World Series of Comedy would do it. You know what I mean? I'd be like that. So you got to take what I say with a grain of salt. But I actually am glad that you guys asked, because I would love to give a little bit of feedback on how it could improve. It was a great experience. It was awesome. They had seals. Oh, my goodness. Right down at the beach from where the festival was taking place. They had actual sea lions and actual seals, and it was it was mind-bendingly I mean, it was awesome. Dude, and you could just hear them going, or. And they weren't even looking at each other. They're just, or. They literally just arting for the love of the game. They literally arting from the heart. They ain't got nothing to do. They're not doing it because they're getting paid. They just do it for the art. Dude. It was so beautiful getting to be out there in Shelter Cove. Lord have mercy. Yeah, buddy. Alrighty, let's see. Now, here we go. If you're in here, and in fact, if you're here, I got a bit I got a premise for a bit, but it comes from an actual conversation thing. So hang around if you want to. This is what I do. I call it the Laforatory. This is the lab for the Laffs, and I do these to yap, talk about subjects, but also talk about comedy, duh, but then also work on jokes. And I'm trying to get more consistent with them because the more consistent I am, the more that I write and the better that my stuff gets, and the more blah, 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 blah. You are a lot of people's faved. Okay. No, I get it, fave. I really appreciate that, dude. And you know what? I'll tell you this. You know why? Going to the Shelter Cove Comedy Festival made me realize something. I already knew it, but it gave me an opportunity to feel it straight up. It was like there were some of the shows where there wasn't a lot of audience, and and I would, comics would be like, man, there's no audience or whatever, blah blah blah. But I was like, well, hey, I'm just glad I get to do my jokes. And of course, I love doing my jokes, but I hadn't really realized that up until that. Like the first show that I did, by the time I went up, because we got there late, but by the time that we went up, it was at the coffee shop. There were only 2 people in the audience. Everybody else was comics. But I was like, when I'm going up, I was like, well, put me in, coach. I want to do time. And there was a few shows where I was like, dude, hey, I'm going to tell jokes. And I was living. I'm living up there telling my jokes. Because I realized I love my material. And I love to do my material. Plus doing the ones in the clubhouse was awesome. Because some of the people were there at the previous show. But it also, what I did really like was having shows. Like, it's been a while. In fact, I don't know if I've ever been in a setting where it was like 3 shows in a day. Like that, 3 shows in a day for 3 days. That was really good for me as a comedian because I got to, I'm doing my material, hitting stuff, but then also getting to hit other stuff. Like one of my homeboys I went there with, Zach Hartley, he said he didn't repeat a joke. I think that was his goal. His goal was to go to each of those shows and not repeat a joke, which was pretty cool. Especially for comedy shows that you're doing to provide, for our audience and some of the people, coming to multiple shows. That's what I tried to do too. But by the time he said that, I had already done some jokes a couple times. But, okay. So I appreciate being people's favorite. A lot of people there, they were my favorite. I'll say it. A lot of people there were my favorite. Anyway, boop, boop, boop. Plus, I'll say this since you're here, if you're still here. I flew there with Alex Malunchnik and Zach Hartley. And Zach Hartley. And I actually went to high school with Alex. And I actually told Alex years ago that he should do comedy. He came out to see me at a couple of open mics in Orlando. And he's somebody who I felt like has the juice back then. I was like, oh, you got the juice. If you start doing comedy, you'll get really good. But then he didn't. And then like any good comedian, he went out, got divorced and all that stuff. And then started doing comedy like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. And man, I was so proud of how good he was. Boy, I was like, oh, my man's cooking. He cooking up there. He was cooking. Zach was cooking. And my favorite thing is to talk about comedy like it's the Taj Mahal, the craft of it, the this and the that of it all. I love getting to talk craft about comedy. I will tell you this though. Here we go. This is one thing I will say that you can take this with you. All right, because this is something I think we need to be telling comedians, and it's been on my mind for days. It's actually been on my mind for years, and it's on one of my talking points is offensive comedy, and like the key to offensive comedy that I think people are not getting. There's a lot of comedians that I've met, and you see them, and I saw a lot of them at the festival where like kind of and I mean no disrespect, but in the name of the craft, we got to keep it real with folk. And remind me later if I don't say it. I will say why. I think that's super important. Reminds me of Shane Gillis. That is not that incorrect. You're not wrong. Y'all were great. Thank you, man. Big preach. Big preach. I don't know if anybody says appreciate like that. I'd say it super rarely, and I think I might want to start doing it. Oh, yeah, man. Thanks, man. Big preach. Big preach. Big preach, homie. Big preach. Anyway, I think that the thing with, like, a lot of people that are pursuing offensive comedy is that they're, like, missing the point of comedy itself. So, comedy at its core, bar for bar, band for band, is all about making a room full of strangers come together and laugh together. So, if your intention with your comedy is to alienate a particular group, you're fundamentally missing the whole point. And that's why I think a lot of offensive humor doesn't work. Now, here's the thing. I'm not like a churchy boy. I'm not a clean comedian who's like a hardcore churchy boy. So I'm not saying you can't do offensive jokes, but what I think a lot of people miss is that the goal of your comedy, underneath all of it, should be two things. Well, it should be to be funny. That is the only thing comedy has to do. Everything else is the colors with which you paint this picture. Everything else is the colors with which you paint it. But just like other art forms like painting, there are fundamentals that are why it works. And even if you don't know that this is why stuff works, it is. I don't think you've been to any of my other live streams, but I talk about it a lot. I talk a lot about how I don't know if I said this to you, but I say it to comics everywhere I go because it's like the best thing I've said in my streams before, and it is the core pinnacle thing here. Comedy is supposed to be math for us and magic for them. It's supposed to be work and craft that we do so that the audience gets to feel that seamless, magical feeling. And I think a lot of comics mess up because they are pursuing comedy and doing comedy because of the magic of it, and they're not getting dedicated enough to it to get into the math of it. I say it like this: comedy is a lot like card tricks, because the audience doesn't know how you do the trick, but they love the show. And I think, I've never done magic, but my hypothesis is that if you were going to go out and start doing magic tricks, the first thing that you would have to learn is that it isn't actually magic. It isn't calling upon the powers of eldritch beings so that is your card. It's actually very specific and intricate hand moves. It's actually sleight of hand. It isn't actually magic. And as long as you believe that dude working at the Ferris wheel of Atlanta is doing actual dark magic with cards, you won't be able to get as good at him as it. Because you will be stuck at the level of believing, believing the magic, so to speak, and doing comedy is completely different than watching it. And so if you want to get great at comedy, I think, similarly, the first thing you're going to have to do, and I was just saying this morning, the couple of principles, I don't know, I think this is like, if I had a comedy dojo, this would be on the wall. Comedy is, because you have to accept this first. Before you're going in to become professional, you have to accept these truths. Comedy is harder than you think it is. It is more intricate than you think it is. And it is infinitely more fun than you think it is. Too many comedians want to do comedy because they think it's, I kick my feet up, I'm going to get on stage, I'm going to be him. That is the magic that we're giving them. and you achieve that magic through the craft on your material, right? The work you do on your material is what makes your show so smooth that the audience thinks that comedy is, I'm gonna come up on stage, I'm gonna be him, And again, I mean no disrespect to I might be overthinking, but I don't want to come off as like a prude. One, because I'm not. Two, because if you interpret what I'm saying in that way, it'll distract from the lesson. I'm not a person, hot take, I am a free speech advocate, right? Okay, that's weird. I'm getting messages from Twitch, but okay, whatever. Cool. Hey, somebody said raid. Okay, cool. Raid Shadow Legends. Is this a sponsorship? Oh boy! Hey! Now we're talking. Yeah. Come on. Tell Raid Shadow Legends I want them to make me a. What's the word I'm looking for? Make me a champion. Make a champion. Make me a Raid Shadow Legend. Yeah. Champion Hamotar, the Bard. Bring that ass here, boy. I don't know, what is it? Vicious Mockery is what they call it in D&D. Anyway. Oh, yeah. The thing about, by the way, big dog, we got Chaos 4726. Thanks for being here. Let me know if you leave, because then my feelings won't be so hurt when you go. But I talk about stand-up comedy. My name's Hannibal Callens. I've done stand-up comedy for 13 years, and I am a craftsman when it comes to it. I was just talking about, to me, one of the core things about understanding comedy, if you want to get really good at stand-up, make it real quick while you're here. I think comedy is a lot like card tricks, where the audience doesn't know how you do the joke, but they enjoy the show. And the first thing that you would have to learn if you were going to learn to do magic tricks is that it isn't magic, it's actually math, it's actually sleight of hand. To me, comedy is the same way. If you want to get good at comedy, you have to realize, first you got to accept, you got to learn, and you got to accept that it's supposed to be math for us and magic for them. Comedy, it's a lot harder because it looks so magical. And when I say magic, I mean like that it is sort of chaotic, or that it is not a sculpted, crafted thing. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, and I'll clarify. Otherwise, I got to move on because I'm kind of spinning the wheels here. But yeah. So I was talking about that, and I'll tell you this too. So you take this with you, because I said this: if I had a comedy dojo on the wall on the way in, it would say, "Comedy is harder than you think it is. It is more intricate than you think it is, and it is infinitely more fun than you think it is." I was thinking about this morning, is that when it comes to stand-up comedy, we, the comedians, are actually having way more fun than anybody in the audience. And if you think about it, we should, right? I've had shows that were so good, like, I damn near can't describe the feeling, but I will tell you this. Like, dude, if Mexican black tar heroin does not feel like the Friday early show in Tucson's Laff Comedy Cafe, I don't want it. Boy, the way you do a great night of stand-up comedy, and it is literally as magical as people tell you that it is. It feels incredible. But I thought about it today. You know what's nuts? Do you know what it's like to know your material's good? To know you're going to kill it when you get on stage? To kill it on stage and have that audience love the heck out of you? I thought about it, dude. Last time I was in Tucson, like, I knew my material was going to be good in the car. You know how nuts that is? Like, and maybe it's because of mental health issues that I kind of, I suffer sometimes, like, insecurity, and I'm like, geez, well, I really hope things go well. And this is the powerful thing too about, if you see comedy not as this chaotic happenstance, but you see it as a craft, is that you have more control than you would think. Someone who thinks that comedy is just going up there and saying funny stuff, it's a roll of the dice whether you're going to do well. But when you turn it into a craft, you gain chaos control. Like I said, I knew that I was going to do well before I got up on the stage. Last time I went to Tucson, I knew I was going to do good before I got up on the stage at Tacoma. I did a comedy competition in Tacoma, got first place. First time I had done that for the World Series of Comedy. Big milestone for me personally. But the nuts part is, that means I'm having way more fun than anybody in this audience. Bro, the feeling of you do a joke and the audience laughs and they don't even know. Oh man, I gotta describe it this way. You don't know the feeling of telling a joke. The audience laughs, ha 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 ha, and in your head you're going, but what will you do when the second joke comes? Because you already know you're, bam, about to hit them with a whole different joke. But I love that when the audience is, they're laughing so hard at your setup because they don't know there's another joke coming. It's like Madara. But what will you do when the second joke comes? Slam! They love it. They absolutely love that. I love it. What's your opinion on 6-7? Numbers? It's a meme. I don't know. I'm glad we got numbers, you know. Where would we be without numbers? In a much worse space. Anyway, before you got here, I think, I was talking about offensive comedy and then got super, super sidetracked. But here's the point I'm making. And I'll speed through it just so you got it. Plus, it'll probably look better when I clip this out in post. But I think a lot of people that pursue like offensive stand-up comedy, I'm going to head out. You stand up, takes a lot of balls, honestly smarts. Thank you, man. It really does. I appreciate it. If you like comedy, please be sure to follow me. I do a lot of my preparations for competitions. I got a couple of big ones. One big one, the World Series of Comedy Festival, which is in September that I'm getting ready for. So if you want to, follow me, get notifications so you'll see when I'm either gaming, which is the other thing that I also do here a lot, but then also see the prep for all that, because it's a lot of fun. And if you ever want to do stand-up comedy, let me know, because I think that the job security of comedians is in us sharpening each other. That's another thing I was going to get into probably another time, but yeah. Anyway, you go ahead, get out of here, big dog. Be easy. I already followed you. Sweet. Later. Get home safe. On the internet. God, man, could you imagine if the internet was a city? You would not be able to find a more lawless place. Anyway, finish that thought, and then I'm probably going to let y'all go. Get ready to go out, do some comedy. Going out to the open mic tonight. Yeah. But the thing about offensive comedy, in my opinion, a lot of people that do pursue offensive comedy are missing like a key point of what comedy is at its foundation. Like really just at its core, because comedy is all about taking a room full of strangers and getting them all to laugh together. So if your goal with doing stand-up is to alienate a particular group of people, you're fundamentally missing the point. Now, I'm not one of those people that says you can't do anything offensive. There's some stuff that's never funny. I'm not that, right? I think that the answer is always going to be craft, right? When people say there's a topic that you can't make funny, I think that it's with the right amount of skill and craft, yeah. But here's the thing I'll say. The trick is understanding that at the core of whatever you're doing and whatever you're saying, the core goal has to be humor. If telling a good joke isn't coming first, you're going in the wrong direction, and it's not going to work out. And I thought about this too. You see that in comedy in two different ways on both sides of this of like the political and ideological spectrum, but it's the same problem. On like the left and with real liberal people, that's when they're focused more on making a point than they are about telling jokes. That's when you get the stuff that's super preachy and super virtue signally and is the issue is that it's preachy. On the opposite side, when people are focused on like saying stuff that is shocking and offensive more than they're focused on telling a good joke, you get people like, that's where you get a lot of material that's like it's just people, that's at its extreme. That's where you're getting stuff that's just gross. And again, I'm not a prude. I'm not like, goodness gracious. I mean stuff that's just nasty. It's not funny. It's just people saying stuff that's nasty, stuff that's offensive, and like people just saying slurs and stuff like that. That happens when people get more focused on making a point or making a statement than they are about comedy. And I believe that in theory, if you put comedy first, regardless of what direction you went in, it would be universally better. Because the point is to tell jokes. It's not to stick it to the libs. It isn't to make conservative people look stupid. The point is to tell great jokes. And if that's your goal, I think where a lot of people got mixed up, when you look at a lot of the old like goats that did stand-up comedy and like were controversial, maybe this is a misinterpretation, right? But I think one of the differences between those old, like those famous goats, like off the top of my head, I think Paul Mooney. I really like Paul Mooney. And there's a lot of other people too. But I think the point for a lot of people was to make jokes at any cost, right? Like, I'm going to make a joke regardless of how it hurts people's feelings because I'm committed to the humor of the joke and the truth of the joke, which in comedy is that those things end up being very connected. Comedy is an art form where the secret sauce is authenticity, and you don't actually get that in many other art forms, right? Like, acting is all about how well can you play other people. Comedy is all about how well can you be yourself. How much can you be authentic? And the secret sauce is how well are you able to present the real you. Present is the operative word there because it isn't just going up there and saying what you had for breakfast. It is craftsmanship to understand how you tell those stories. But the more honest your stories can be, the better they are. So I think people got mixed up. And I don't know if you were here, but I said comedy and it's supposed to be math for us and magic for them. It's supposed to be magic for the audience. And when a comedian is doing comedy because he's caught up in the magic, he goes in the wrong direction. If you want to do comedy, you have to get into it and love it for the math. And as long as you're believing that it isn't math, you won't ever master it. Because you're doing what you think works because you're working off that surface level of the magic. Anyway, the reason why I said that is because a lot of comics get mixed up because they look at like famous people back in the day, famous comedians who were known for doing controversial humor, and they go, well, I want to do that. I want to be able to go out and say jokes about offensive stuff. But what they're not realizing is that that person is now coming from the wrong place. You're looking to say offensive stuff. You're not looking to craft jokes. Now, I believe that you should be able to, as a comedian, talk about whatever. But the unspoken deal that we make with society is that it must be funny. It has to be funny. No other professional, in my opinion, has that and should. No other professional field should have the freedom that we have as comedians. Sorry, your doctor should not be making racist jokes. I know, tar and feather him. Your doctor should not be making racist jokes. Your police chief should not be making racist jokes. Their job is way too important, and people's livelihoods are at stake. People's lives are in danger if that person has those inaccurate, dangerous beliefs. A lot of people get hurt. Because of that, that's what makes being a comedian special. We should be allowed to say whatever we want. But the exchange is that it must be funny. You can't just go up there, say something wild, and go, hey, it was just jokes. That's your end of the bargain. is that you have to do the work to actually make that interesting and funny. Dang, I think I ran folks off. Did y'all leave because I said your doctor shouldn't be making racist jokes? Don't tell me y'all left because of that. Please don't. Don't tell me y'all left because of that. Don't tell me y'all left because I said your police chief shouldn't be making racist jokes. You know what I mean? Anyway, I don't think y'all did. I'm saying that just to be funny. But let me finish my point because I'm not sure if I did. So, and to me, I think this is one of the secrets to any good joke that is within a controversial subject. It has to come from a place of love for the people represented in that joke. And if it doesn't, it's just not going to work. If you can't make a joke about trans people from a place of love for them and loving them, then the joke you make is 9 times out of 10 going to just end up offensive because you're not doing it from the right place, right? But if you can do a joke from a love and respect for some specific subject, right? A particular topic, a particular subject that can be controversial. If you can write material highlighting your legitimate perspective, your honest perspective on it, and from a place of actual love for the subject you're talking about, I damn near want to guarantee it'll hit well, it'll work, and I bet 9 times out of 10 the joke itself isn't even really going to be as offensive as you would think. But the secret sauce is it has to come from a place of love. I don't know who the guy is, and I saved this video because I want to react to it. I saw a video on this dude. He's doing a joke about trans people, and he's like, oh, I love trans people because I don't even know. I don't want to do his joke. I can't do his joke the way he does it. But we talk about comedy here, so I'm going to break it down here, and I'll try to tag him if I can find his video and all that stuff and find that comic. But the point that I want to make is he has a joke that I think is a great example of that. That the secret sauce of controversial comedy is intimacy. And intimacy comes from a legitimate love for the topic that you're talking about. This dude has a joke where he says he loves trans people because if you make them laugh hard enough, you get to hear their old laugh. What a great joke. That is such a good joke about the trans experience. He himself isn't. And that's a joke that nobody gets offended by. But here's the thing. Why does that joke work so well? I believe that joke works so well because it comes from a place, because it comes from a place of love for people, for trans people. But also, and here is the example of that, or the proof of that within this example. A joke like that about something that specific and intimate, that's a joke you only come up with if you're actually friends with trans people. That's a joke you're only going to think of if you actually know and are connected with trans people close enough that you're making them laugh in your personal shared time enough that you could make that observation. That's a joke that's actually, in my opinion, really hard to think of if you don't actually love trans people and spend time with them. Somebody who doesn't actually like trans people isn't going to come up with a joke like that. And if they did, their angle would be different. And I damn near bar for bar, band for band. If you took somebody who was transphobic and made a joke like that, it wouldn't be the same thing. And it's because they're not coming from a place of love. They're coming from a place of hate. And this is part of that stuff with comedy, understanding how intricate it actually is. Right? It's actually that deep. It's actually that deep. Now, and this is the thing I damn near might reach out to that comic and ask him, because, getting crafty, I want to rewatch that clip of him saying it because this is my hypothesis. I believe when he says the joke, he says if you make them laugh hard enough, you get to hear their old laugh. I, as a craftsman, thought, you know what probably happened? He probably, going through the process of writing that joke and running it on stage, I wonder if he went through a phase where he was calling it their old laugh and then the joke wasn't working as consistently, right? And it's kind of a thing where it's like, this joke is kind of hitting sometimes, but not hitting all the time, and it's not hitting as well as it should. And so, this is my hypothesis, I wonder if he went to the lab and worked on it and then found that real is a less powerful word in that joke than saying their old laugh. Because, and this is my theory, I wonder if you make them laugh hard enough, you get to hear their real laugh, it implies that who they are right now is fake. And that previous laugh was the real laugh that they had. So I imagine if you do that joke and you run it in front of different rooms, you'll catch people who are paying attention enough to get stuck with some friction on that part of your joke and that wording in your joke. But when you change the word real to the word old, now there's no friction there. Because that wording in no way implies that somebody's way of life is not legitimate, and they get to enjoy it, and that means everybody gets to enjoy it. And that's the goal. I said that earlier, that the secret sauce of comedy, and not so much the secret sauce, but the mistake that people who are doing offensive comedy, the big mistake that they make is that they want to alienate a part of the room and they feel cool about that. But by doing that, you're fundamentally moving in a different direction of what comedy is at its core. Comedy is all about bringing people together. That should always be at the core of any joke you're doing. So if you are writing a joke about a difficult topic, the goal needs to be, how do you write this joke and perform it in a way where the thought is, how do you perform this joke in a way where everybody can enjoy it? Everybody could enjoy it. In theory, you can't please everybody. But that's also why, number one, that's the direction you aim for. Right? Even if you might not achieve it, that's the direction that you aim for. You're going to hit some people. And then it also depends on, like, your target. Right? This is something I've done with my jokes before. But it's like, if I'm doing a joke that, like, targets a particular type of person, that type of person has got to be somebody that is as universally bad as they can be. I said this as a principle of comedy years ago in a video I posted, and I'll say it to y'all too. But what it is, it's like, if you're gonna call somebody a bitch, they've got to be a bitch. If you're telling a joke about somebody who's bad and mean, they got to be bad and mean. Because if you're telling jokes about a person, but that person's not, like, evil, you look like a jerk. I had a joke, I can't remember, I have to look back, because I had it's one of the only videos I posted. There's a project I've wanted to do where I go through old comedy that I have and mine it. And I've actually been wanting to do that for these streams, and I just realized I haven't thought about that in a long while, and now I would know how to do it. So I think that might be a direction that I try to take the Laforatory streams in, like adding some old comedy, because I have 400 gigs of comedy on my hard drive videos I haven't watched, from 13 years of doing comedy, and I want to mine them. I want to, like, go through them, and I want an excuse to just start going through old videos, mining them for old jokes, refining those jokes, and then in theory I can delete the videos, So stay tuned. I might do that. I might even do a little bit of practice with my OBS and see how I would actually do that, because I'm just thinking in my head, I probably, from my understanding how OBS works, I could line up, 4 or 5 of my old videos, because I know you add, like, sources to the OBS, and then you click on it, it starts. So I think I could do that. I could line up 4 or 5 of my old videos. We watch them, we talk about them, we go through. Anyway, oh, I got sidetracked. I don't know what the example I had was. I'm getting distracted because I'm trying to think about it. I can't remember what I had an example. One of my jokes where I have a character in there who is I have a character in there who's supposed to be like a jerk. And so there's things you do with the way you set up that character so that the audience understands, oh, this person is a jerk. And man, that guy sucks. So when you tell the joke, they're on your side in this little story you're telling. I can't remember what it is, and it's kind of got my brain like, what was it? What was it? An hour and 12? Damn! I didn't realize I'd been on that long. Looks like we got one person on Twitch, one person in the YouTube, and one person on Kick. Hey, be real with me, person on Kick. Are you actually watching, or is it like a bot or something? Or am I not understanding that it's counting me as a person? Because it's weird. I always have one on YouTube and one on Kick. But nobody on Kick has ever said anything. I don't think I've ever gotten a message from Kick that was not an ad. It wasn't like a bot or ads. And you know what I just realized it is? Oh, I think I know what that is. I have a thing set up that allows my chats, allows me to get chats from all 3 platforms. And I think that's what happens. I think that's what's happening. I think it counts that bot sitting in the chats as one person. That would make sense. That would make sense why I've always got one person in on Kick. And it would have made sense if I checked yesterday, because yesterday my YouTube chats wasn't working. So maybe but it did say it connected. So that the bot connected. So I don't know. I'm yapping about some stuff and some things. Has to come from a place of love. Yeah. Okay. I think that was good. I'm talking about topics, especially since nobody's in here. And if you are in here, I don't want you to feel disrespected. I just didn't realize you were in here. I'm just saying. I'm kind of using this as what is it? Like journals, and then also topics for. Oh yeah. Hopefully I'm gonna go back through these and cut it up for clips. I got one more subject on here that I actually want to talk about. But I might feel like I might save it for the next one, because I do kind of want to wrap, go eat a little something before I go out to a mic. But I'll say this: I'll give y'all the premise, or I'll give y'all the subject, and then like the premise, because I want y'all to take this with you when you walk away, when you leave. I actually think that AI is destroying a lot of stuff. AI is making a lot of stuff way worse, and I think that passion is the only protection that we have from AI degrading everything. I just saw a video this I guess it was on the news. Somebody was posting a video about how some school gave out agendas to all their students and the state names were wrong in it. And of course, it's AI. Somebody used AI to make this map of the country, and all the country names are wrong. I mean, all the state names, not all of them, right? But most of the state names are incorrect. Let's be real. A single state name being incorrect on a map for children in their educational agenda is super bad. Those kids are getting taught inaccurate information. I think that passion is the only reason that somebody would have done that correctly. Like, it would have stopped somebody from letting that mistake happen. Somebody who's passionate about education and about the country and the states, they would have either double checked that the AI had it correct because they're passionate about that subject. They're passionate about education, so they want to make sure it's correct. And or that person would have just did it. That person would have just made the map that would get used for the agendas. But the problem is the AI is degrading our access to passion. Because you kind of got to think about it. How does a person printing the stuff for the agendas for children just tell AI, yeah, you do it, and then let it go and not even double check it? And this is the other problem with AI, because it like erodes our passion. Somebody who's not passionate about that map being accurate isn't gonna double check the AI either. Look, man, if I'm telling the AI to make a map of the country, I don't want to have to follow it up and double check that the AI got it right. That's the whole reason that I asked the AI to do it and I didn't do it, is because I didn't want to do the work. So why am I going to then follow up the work the AI did with meticulous, looking over it to make sure it's correct? That person isn't going to do that. That's how you end up with mistakes like this. And that's the problem. A lot of the people using AI for stuff don't want to actually do the work to make sure it's correct, because they're using the AI to cut corners, right? Here's my joke, and I'm going to try to yap about this another time. Here's my premise. That means we need autistic people now more than ever. Because you know who's not going to let AI give you an inaccurate reading of the history of Batman? Come on. Let's be real. You know who's not going to let you get the details about the intricacies of trains? You know who's not going to let you get that incorrect? Like, it makes me feel like, and honestly, because we're talking about schools, right? Schools have their information being made wrong, that we're teaching the kids. We're teaching the kids inaccurate information, and nobody's stopping to check it because they don't have the passion and the hyperfixation to care about the stuff enough to make sure it's done right. So I'm about to start injecting Tylenol into the water at this point. It might be the only way to save our country from literally falling apart under the false convenience that AI gives us. To me, I think I can make that real funny. I love that bit. I think I can make that real funny. I had a joke I wanted to do that was a premise about that when they were saying Tylenol caused autism. I had a skit that I actually filmed most of. I don't think I got everything, but a skit that I filmed that was the premise. And then I had a joke I forgot about. I got to see how that joke went, but it was about that. It's like if I was on a plane and they're like, "Oh my God, can anyone here find a plane?" And then I crack open a bottle of Tylenol and then go, "All right, let's go." Like I gotta get some autism to be able to know everything about planes and landing and whatever. But I like this bit. I love that punchline. That's so stupid. You know, it's and what I like about it is a very smart topic with a dumb premise, with a dumb joke in it. But yeah, that, like, dude, we need, like, passion's the only thing that'll protect us from it. Which means we need autism. We need autism now. Like, I'm gonna start injecting Tylenol into the water. Anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap. Thank you so much. You are the GOATs. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for being my Laff Rats today. I'm going to catch y'all next time. Tomorrow, we're going to do some more streaming. I might do some gaming. I don't think I'm working tomorrow. Pretty sure I'm not, which actually sucks. That's bad. Poverty. When I say pover, you say T. Pover. 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 Anyway. So I'm going to try and do whatever. I might try to see if I know some comics in town, see if I can get on a show or something. But tonight, we dine in hell. No, I'm just going to go out to an open mic, especially because I actually really like that joke so much. I really want to go do it on stage. So thank you guys so much for your time tonight. I didn't deserve it, and you shared it with me. You guys have a wonderful night. Please follow. Oh, dang it. Hold on. It says somebody is in Twitch. Hey, if you are here on Twitch, say something. Let me know. Because I don't want to leave if you just got here. Because I literally sat here and talked to nobody for 45 minutes. And I would hate for you to get here and then I'm shutting down. So if you are here, say a little something, please. But no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure. No pressure. Ah! And if you don't know me, my name is Hannibal Collins. I do stand-up comedy. I've done it for 13 years, 12 or 13 years, at a professional level. Oh, here we go. Oh, no! Dang it! And you just got... Oh, I know who that is. No. Dang it. Ugh. Great. I would have put on my good shoes if I knew you were coming. Ah. Dang it. I was just about to leave. Shoot. All right. Well, no, that's no big. Because I'll tune in tomorrow on time. That is not your fault, by the way, because I never designate what time I'm going to do it. I'm so bad. I just be like, hey, I ain't doing nothing. Let me stream real quick. I game as well, and then I do this. So you don't leave with nothing. I be writing my topics on my board. Well, no, I'm starting to write my topics on my board because it helps me stay organized. What did we talk about, team? We talked about I did that competition on Wednesday, and I'm glad you didn't tell your brother to come out. They did me dirty. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to look salty, but they did me dirty. I feel like I got done a little bit dirty, just a little bit dirty. I got a joke I'm working on. Comes from a deep premise. Yeah, I know. I was disappointed, but I was gonna talk about that, but then since I didn't have nobody here, I'll talk about that another time. I went to a comedy festival in what's it called? Why why am I saying that like you would know? Shelter Cove. I did a comedy festival out there last weekend. That was cool. The guy that runs that hopped into my chat, and I was like, oh, hope you don't think I'm talking mess. I was talking mess, and then I yapped about the YouTube partner program. I don't know if you heard, but they're increasing it, I think, February of next year. So you got to get like 8,000 watch hours in order for you to start getting paid off YouTube, which means if you are trying to do it, it sounds like the game is to try to get into the YouTube partner program between now and then, because I think it sounds like if you can get into the YouTube partner program before they officially raise the standard, I think you can get in and then be good. But after next year, you'll have to have double. And they're saying it's because they want to kind of stifle AI. All that does is hurt everybody else. And I said, this is the thing I don't think nobody else was saying. I feel like that's dirty because YouTube still makes money off you because they put ads on your videos. So if you get, like, if they're saying you got to have 8,000, but you get 7,000 watch hours, they still make money off you because they put ads on your videos, but they ain't got to pay you because you haven't reached the milestone to get into the partner program. And I think that's dirty. Yeah, I think that's dirty. I yap a lot about AI too because I think that it's nasty. I think it's very dangerous. I think it is degrading the very fabric of passion for art. And another thing too, I didn't say this, but I think about this all the time. It's also scary because it makes it to where people that are actually passionate about art now have to compete with the tech bros who have access to all of the money and the resources to use AI. Back in the day, in theory, right? I'm gonna sound like an old head, but in theory, back in the day. Oh, well, no, not even back in the day, but stick with me here. I'm being a little fumbly wumbly. But the reason we have record labels is because those business-minded people weren't talented. Like, the businessy people aren't gifted or talented enough to make music that they can sell. So they had to go to artists because artists have the juice, right? They have the actual product. So these business people go to the artists to get, right, the product that makes revenue. And it, in theory, builds a symbiotic relationship. We got the money and the resources. You got the gift and the juice. So we work with you, right? We let you use our equipment to make music that we share. And then we all make money, which is also why I don't understand why the music industry has to be so, like, shady. I realize I've listened about it, learning about it a little bit, but it's like, it doesn't make sense that as an artist, you have to pay the record label to use the equipment that they give you to make the music because you're making the music for them. You're making the music that you and the record label are splitting the money on. So why am I paying you to use the studio to make music for us? You're making money off the music I'm making. I'm using your equipment to make your stuff. Why do I got to pay you to use your stuff to make your stuff? That's how you know it's just dirty. It's dirty and wicked. It's super sad. It's also not, and it don't got to be that way. But I was also talking about how, I was talking about the key to offensive jokes because I talk about the deep comedy. One thing I said, it's a principle I live by when it comes to comedy, and I think this actually applies to most things in life. But it's supposed to be magic for us, the comedians. No, it's supposed to be math for us and magic for them. Like, we as comedians are supposed to understand our craft so well that our audience gets to have a seamless comedy experience. And I say comedy is a lot like card tricks, where the audience doesn't know how you do the trick, but they love the show, and that is the whole point. But if you want to get into stand-up comedy, the first lesson you have to learn is that it's supposed to be math for us, which means I was saying if I had a comedy dojo, I'd have it right up on the wall, Chinese letters. When you walk in, first lesson you got to learn is that comedy is harder than you think it is. It is more intricate than you think it is, and it is infinitely more fun than you could ever imagine. A lot of people like comedy because they think it's simple, and they think they think it's simple and easy, but it's not, and that is what makes it so great. But with comedy specifically, the reason people think it's so easy is because the goats are so good at it. They're fooling you. They've got you in the genjutsu. You think that this dude didn't write, you think that this guy just woke up, drove to the club, and told these jokes. You don't realize that he wrote these jokes 5 years ago and has been crafting them. He's been in there, dink, 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 dink. You know what I mean? But that's the point. It's supposed to look like all that work. Don't go into it. And I talked about, to me, I think offensive comedy that is intended to offend, is totally missing the core of what comedy is. Comedy is at its core making a room full of strangers laugh together. So if you're making material with the intent to offend people, you're missing literally the fundamental core of it. And I think that good jokes that are about controversial topics, the trick is it has to come from a place of love for the people in that situation. If you're not writing jokes, and I think if you hear people making offensive jokes, that is often what will be the issue. Because I've heard people say jokes that should be offensive, but they work, and the reason is because it's coming from a place of intimacy and love with the experience you're referring to, or the people in the whatever. And yeah, so tomorrow I'm gonna do a little bit of gaming. I'm gonna try to be up ahead and say I'm gonna try to be good. I'm gonna try and be a good boy and actually figure out what time I'll stream. And I'm gonna try to stream earlier today. Oh, that's right. You're in radiology school, right? Right? To become a radiologizer? I think that's what's going on, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I just realized you was probably in school all day. Oh, you left. Cold World. Oh no, you didn't leave. Okay. Sorry. My machine was lying to me. I thought you left. Cold World, yep. Anyway, thanks so much for actually hopping on. I don't know if you followed me yet, but if you didn't, please do, and then I'll follow you right back. I'm on break. Oh! You on break till the 24th? Oh, well, that's next Monday. That's not bad. Oh, wait a minute. No, that is good. Dang. Okay. Hey, clock it. Hey. This one. I don't know. Are people still doing this one? I don't know. That looked dumb. That looked real dumb. Why can't I be thick, Lord? I want to be thick. What do they have that I don't? Anyway. It should have been me, not him. That's the one I was looking for. It should have been me. Yep, cool. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you stopping through. Yeah. I do stand-up comedy, talk about it. I do gaming, and I get deep. I get deep into comedy and stuff. Tomorrow I'm probably going to talk about that competition. Only reason I don't is because I'm worried people are going to hear and then they're going to get mad at me. But that's why I keep a lot of my criticisms, like, I try to keep them real. Plus, there's some comedians that were on the competition, that one dude in particular I got to yap about. He's a real cool brother. And then I'll talk about that AI. I'll talk about that too, because I worked on that premise. Stick with me. If you read that, I sound like a crazy person. I promise if you stick with me, this makes sense and will not sound as crazy. I promise. Plus, I think I'm gonna go out and do comedy because I want to actually work that joke, because that's actually what I do. Oh, I call the people that come into my lab. This is the Laforatory. It's the lab for the Laffs, and this is the lab. We work on jokes in here. So I call the people that come up in here. I'm trying to call them my Laff Rats. I think that's funny. And if I can get this big enough, I think I might start making shirts. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have did that. I'm sorry. Yep. Alrighty. I gotta go try and have me some soup before I go hit me an open mic. I gotta let you know next time I'm in town too. But yeah. Thanks everybody. Y'all are the goats. I didn't deserve your time, but you shared it with me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful night. Peace.